The Saudi Arabian royal family, popularly known as the House of Saud, is valued more than $1.4 trillion. To put that in perspective, that amount of wealth is 16 times greater than the £88 billion net wealth of the British royal family. Today, we're gonna learn all about King Salman's trillionaire empire. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe to see more videos like this. Let's get started. There are about 15,000 members of the House of Saud, yet the majority of the wealth is concentrated among only 2,000 families. Each person would receive $700 million if it were divided equally. Petroleum deposits provide the bulk of their revenue. Crude oil has been their lifeblood for nearly a century and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. It is owned by the Saudi royal family and is known as Saudi Aramco. They have the world's second-largest crude oil reserve. The royal family of Saudi Arabia owns 98.2% of Saudi Aramco, which is presently worth $2 trillion. Misappropriation is a major source of income for these people, despite the fact that oil is their primary focus. The Al-Saud see their country as a family asset that they possess outright. It was said that 40% of the kingdom's annual budget was spent on monthly allowances that were extravagant. To achieve political power, senior princes and princesses have accumulated huge and unauditable fortune over the years, thanks to the family's ever-increasing wealth. It's a vicious cycle in which the wealthy enrich themselves at the expense of everyone else. The Al-Saud family has been in power in Saudi Arabia longer than the country itself, at nearly 300 years. In 1727, the Grand Patriarch of the House of Saud, Mohammed bin Saud, established the first Saudi estate. Nearly 200 years later, in 1932, the country was renamed the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Oil having yet to be discovered, the Saudi Arabians were mostly nomadic, and the country's economy relied heavily on pilgrimages to Mecca, the holiest city in Islam, to generate cash. Finally, an American-owned oil well in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia dug into the world's largest supply of petroleum in 1938, making it the world's largest source of oil. For the first time, Saudi Arabia's physical, human, and political geography was irreversibly altered. Wells, pipelines, refineries, and ports dot the Saudi infrastructure. Because they were in the right position at the right time, the House of Saud has become a $1 trillion business empire. Considering King Salman's ancestors have amassed opulent fortunes for more than a century, it comes as no surprise that he likes the better things in life. Salman is known for his lavish and expensive travels. When he traveled to Russia last year, he made headlines. To feed his 1,500-person staff and himself, he purchased 1,764 pounds of food and a personal inventory of furnishings and carpets. There is no reason to settle for anything less than the best when he has it. That notion appears to be universal as he brought his own golden escalator with him on the trip. The shiny staircase is a staple in the king's travels. It's not clear how much it cost, but regular escalators can cost anything from $4,000 to $8,000 per foot, including installation and maintenance. Assuming this is gold, we'll be able to add a few more zeros to the price. Unfortunately, the escalator's golden touch is limited to its color. During the king's attempt to exit the jet, the escalator malfunctioned and he was forced to walk on the escalator like a commoner. This generated tons of memes on the internet. The Four Seasons and the Ritz-Carlton were booked out by the Saudi government for King Salman's historic trip to Russia. This is what happens when you invite more than 1,000 people to a gathering. Residents who have lived there for a long time had to be forced to cancel other guest reservations and temporarily leave the Four Seasons. Booking both hotels, according to Russia's Vice President of Restaurateurs and Hoteliers, would have cost roughly $3 million before room service. That obscene sum is but a blip on the $1 trillion horizon, but the golden escalator has traveled far beyond that. King Salman spent $100 million on a vacation earlier in 2017, making it one of the most costly ever. There were 800 rooms arranged in some of Morocco's most luxurious hotels for his 1,000 guests, so everyone had a place to stay and transportation. There were 200 automobiles leased for the group's use. The $100 million cost of the trip accounted for 1.5% of the country's international tourism revenue in 2017. When you spend a lot of money on a single item, you become a significant statistic. The monarch spent a fortune on souvenirs during his 2017 Asian tour, which included a stop in Russia. Because he couldn't get enough golden stairways, this monarch brought 2 golden escalators on his Asia tour. These escalators are heavier than your average escalator because of the gold. In addition, he owns a large collection of automobiles and luggage. Because of this, he rented a $14 million Lockheed C-130 Hercules from the Royal Netherlands Air Force. The major goal in developing this vehicle was to transport tanks over long distances, and it was just the perfect plane for transporting the king's 500 tons of stuff. To go along with all of his belongings, Salman also brings 1,500 other people with him on his journeys. He possessed 100 bodyguards, 25 princes, and 10 ministers, all of whom cost up to $3,500 an hour. His entourage combined wealth is estimated to be in the multi-billions of dollars. In order to accommodate his entire entourage, the king reserved 1,200 rooms in Tokyo's best hotels. He purchased 2 Mercedes-Benz S600s from his home country to use as transportation. For his guests, he hired 500 extra limos to Tokyo so that they could get around. To transport that many people, the king had to charter 6 Boeing passenger jets, including his personal 747. To purchase these planes will cost nearly $3 billion, though it's unclear how much he paid to charter them. When not on travel, the king's residence is a functioning palace that also houses the seats of the royal court. The value of the luxurious building is unknown. However, based on the size and pricey furnishings, it probably costs between $1 million and $1 billion. Although it's quite simple, the exterior of the building features geometric elements and arched windows in a traditional Arabic style. On the inside, though, there are massive chandeliers, exquisite antiques, and a gold decor, Italian marble flooring, ornately carved ceilings, and wall panels are additional features. Overall, it resembles a king's palace. Therefore, its trashcans are probably more expensive than the majority of people's cars. Unfortunately, Riyadh is a volatile city, especially for a contentious leader. He has another overflow mansions to go to during times of disturbance, but when the monarch simply wants to stay at a different palace. Another castle in Riyadh called the Al-AUJA Palace is more of a representation of Saudi culture. Intricate sculptures and black and white images of Riyadh are shown on the walls. There is also mosaic flooring and hand-carved furnishings. Despite being somewhat less extravagant than his main palace, it is nonetheless sufficiently magnificent to house the king. The ERGA mansion, his final prominent residence in Riyadh, is more ornately decorated than Al-Yamama and features costly Italian marble and luxurious silk carpets. Barack Obama was one of the guests that monarch welcomed in this castle in 2015. They ate lobster, lamb, and rice decorated with jewels. The monarch won't even look at the Kleenex unless it comes out of a solid gold box, according to witnesses who claim to have also seen golden tissue dispensers. It is obvious that King Salman is accustomed to living in a certain level of luxury. In contrast to some other royal family members, he can be thought of as having basic preferences. Mohammed bin Salman Al-Saud, the son of King Salman, was named Crown Prince when he was anointed in 2015. There are numerous things that people know about the young prince for, including massive government change, detaining his kin, and a huge spending spree. Known by many as MVS, he is worth an estimated $5 billion. Oil provides the bulk of his income, and as a result, he can afford to spend a lot of money. According to reports, he possessed a $500 million super yacht aptly named Serene. The massive yacht is equipped with a gym, 2 helipads, and a helicopter hangar, and numerous pools and hot tubs. MVS yacht can only accommodate 24 guests in 15 cabins, despite the fact that his father is known to sail with almost 1,000 people. That may be a small boat by Saudi standards, but it's a gigantic ship to the rest of the world. He bought the yacht after seeing it in the south of France while on vacation. He also paid $300 million in 2015 on a French castle. Fortune magazine labeled it the most expensive house in the world at the time. The fountains, stereo system, lights, and air conditioning at this 17th century chateau can all be controlled remotely via an iPhone. You can watch movies in the movie theater or in the moat's clear chamber below the water's surface. In 2017, the prince purchased an artwork for $450 million, making it one of his most famous purchases in the recent decade. The painting was Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, which sold for an estimated $100 million. But what's even crazier than shelling over more than $300 million over the asking price? The prince wants to spend money on both material things and experiences. VALAR, a Maldivian island, was rented out by him for $8 million in 2013. Renting out the island and everything on it for an epic party had been on his to-do list for a while. Influential people from throughout the world were on the guest list, and they were all flown in via boat or seaplane. In recent years, MVS has been in the news for both positive and bad reasons. Positive changes brought about by his initiatives include permitting women to drive and travel independently in Saudi Arabia. People have criticized his policy, even though they have opened movie theaters and relaxed the book prohibition. By 2022, numerous Saudi royals have sold $600 million worth of properties, yachts, and other assets. Many royals whose spending MVS perceived to be out of control were gradually cut off. Some of them made as much as $30 million per month. They had to sell off their valuables in order to survive after being cut off. Some of them obtained their wealth by borrowing money from banks and failing to repay them, by dominating common lands, and by abusing and profiting from foreign labor visas. In these circumstances, MVS cutting them off might be viewed favorably. Many detractors, including his cousin and uncle who had been imprisoned in 2020, saw it as blackmail and a tactic for the prince to get rid of any challengers. This idea is supported by the fact that MVS is infamous for being difficult to criticize. Anyone who disagrees with him or publicly criticizes his reforms reportedly faces punishment. Another persistent problem that the former King Abdullah tried to address was royals taking money from the government. By lowering the outside spending part of the budget, his son King Salman and MVS have sought to make it happen. MVS detractors note that while cutting off many royals, he still purchases lavish items like paintings and yachts. We're going to believe that the man who possesses numerous residences and automobiles doesn't mind being referred to as a hypocrite. Al-Waleed bin Talal, the nephew of King Salman, is one of the wealthiest members of the Saudi royal family, with a fortune of $1.4 trillion. He's worth an estimated $20 billion, and the things he buys are out of this world. He spent $750,000 on a vacation to Turkey, which was one of his biggest indulgences. Bodrum, a Turkish tourist town, was overrun by his entourage, which includes dozens of family members and acquaintances as well as security. In addition, they purchased a bicycle and a yacht. To accommodate everyone, he chartered private planes and booked up an entire beachfront hotel. Prince Al-Waleed and his entourage are said to have enjoyed fine dining and lavish gratuities at some of the world's most prestigious restaurants. Some of the establishments where they ate received tips of $5,000 or $10,000 when they were dining at the restaurant who wished we had been servers. This prince enjoys luxurious cars in addition to enjoyable vacations. The most costly private jet in the world was purchased by Prince Al-Waleed bin Talal. It is a customized Airbus A380 that costs more than $500 million, with the alterations accounting for $100 million. The addition of a performance hall, a prayer room, and a Rolls-Royce are a few of these. He needs the Rolls-Royce of automobiles on board since it is the Rolls-Royce of aircraft. In fact, it is so opulent that it has earned the nickname the Kingdom in the Sky. It's a name that fits. Can you picture attending a live performance at your house? This prince not only possesses the priciest aircraft, but he also has the priciest automobile. Because owning a conventional Mercedes is no longer considered fashionable enough, this extravagant vehicle is a Mercedes adorned with diamonds. The car is believed to be valued $4.8 million and has more than 300,000 Swarovski crystals on it. In celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Mercedes Automobile Company, it was displayed at the Dubai Auto Show. It's difficult to take shots because it's so shiny and gorgeous. Now, we're making an effort not to feel uneasy about our second-hand car. Prince Al-Waleed is clearly a fan of becoming the best. Probably because of this, he wants to own the world's highest building. Prince Al-Waleed is the chairman and creator of KHC, which owns and operates the JEDAH Tower or the Kingdom Tower. Hence, is the owner of the Kingdom Tower. Construction began at $1.23 billion, and the project is expected to cost more than $20 billion when completed. To put things in perspective, the project has been put on hold since 2017, owing to labor issues and a political shift. MBS anti-corruption sweep has ensnared two of the project's most famous sponsors, but corruption appears to have slowed. Upon completion, the structure will be the first in the world to reach a height of 1 kilometer. If it ever does happen, it will be an incredible accomplishment for the prince. The Four Seasons Hotel George V is one of his completed properties. Historic and luxurious, it is a major player in the Parisian hotel market. According to Prince Al-Waleed, he is proud to possess the hotel and has no intention of selling it. The exact value of the hotel is a mystery. Rooms cost $1,000 a night. Therefore, it's safe to believe it's worth tens of millions of dollars at minimum. Members of Saudi Arabia's royal family have a reputation for making headlines. Among Prince Sultan bin Al-Saud's memorable achievements was his trip to the International Space Station, ISS, making him the first Arab, Muslim, and royal to do so. For the 1985 space shuttle flight, NASA selected Sultan as a payload specialist. During the $196 billion Space Shuttle Discovery mission in June of that year, he flew during his time in space. He was part of a 7-member international crew and conducted research. Upon his return, he joined the group of space explorers as a founding member, organization of astronauts and cosmonauts from throughout the world who have been to space. He presently serves as the head of the Saudi Arabian Space Agency. He may not be as well off as his brothers, but he gets to brag about riding in a rocket while they travel in private aircraft. As a tangible amount and as a potential resource, $1 trillion is an incomprehensible sum of money. Despite having a per capita income of less than $1,000, Saudi Arabia's royal family is estimated to be worth trillions of dollars. It does not make any sense at all. That's all for this video. What are your thoughts about King Salman's $1.5 trillion empire? Join the conversation in the comment section below. Please click the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next video.